Good afternoon, traders. It is Sunday afternoon on the 7th of August. This is my watch list and kind of my market analysis for the week commencing Monday, the 8th of August, 2022. So let's start off with the US dollar index. First of all, we produced actually a slightly higher low after a higher high. High low, high high, meaning the beginning of a potential uptrend on the daily. We've sort of broken that downtrend momentum. So the implication is a stronger dollar. If we look at the weekly, we've got a weekly bullish candle on the moving averages, also testing off a previous level of resistance as support and a round number. And the monthly looks as though it's potentially disregarding that rejection of 109 and wanting to continue from that. It is overextended, but this indicates a 60-65% probability or likelihood the dollar is going to continue to strengthen this week unless something unexpected happens. Look at euro dollar as well. Euro dollar is range bound. You can see the actual upper limit of that is 102.65. You can see we've got slightly higher lows in some cases, or this might be kind of being described as a build up to a breakout, a flat level breakout. So let me just put that level in there, and that we would have a series of high lows leading to a breakout to that side. If we look at it from a weekly perspective, I don't believe we've had a decent enough retracement. I would have expected price at a minimum to come up to 103.50 and potentially higher up towards even possibly as high as sort of 105. We haven't really done that, but at the same time, I'm looking at these weekly candles. You know, this was a nice swing low, kind of the break of the high of the previous candle, but it's very weak at this point. And so it's interesting to me. Basically, what I'm seeing here is we really should have extended higher, but at the same time, there's just not showing a lot of strength within it as well. So that's why I said it's a possibility that for whatever reason, if price manages to break through this level before breaking these lows, then we could see market head up to 0350, 04. Possibly even as high as 05. That is a possibility. Right now, it's not looking like that is going to happen. We've got sterling. Sterling had a really strong recovery, managed to break above its previous highs. It's now produced a bearish candle in the moving averages, and it hasn't really broken these sort of previous highs. Not back up, hasn't managed to sort of close and stay above these levels. And actually, although that is a sweet bit of a rejection, it's not a strong enough close in my opinion. It's a bit of an indecision close in terms of the close, and therefore this could be a continuation to the downside. So again, I'm looking at this. There is actually there are cases where I'm very convinced it's going to continue down. Here I'm saying there could be a reversal, but it looks as though much more as though it's going to continue down. And the same here with Aussie dollar, US dollar. We've got actually a lower high, lower low. So we have technically have a downtrend on the daily. We have a bearish engulfing candle closing below the low of the previous day's open. We're kind of leaning towards a continuation, especially if we break the low. So these are the levels I'd be looking for on these majors right now, is breaks of the weekly lows. Once we see a break of the low there, I think we're going to see a continuation, at least back down to the next major level. We'll assess it from there. Again, interesting. So looking at this Aussie dollar, US dollar, if we just from where we are here went straight up and broke the high again, then we're more range bound behavior. So that would be the only way out of a continuation to the downside. Would have to be an introduction of range bound behavior from where we are finished on Monday. So last week started out really, as though we were going to get a weaker US dollar, and then suddenly it just turned around on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Looking at the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar here, we've also got a bearish candle off the moving averages. Usually this would be a typical setup for a continuation to the downside. There's something about it. That's a nice little bullish candle on the monthly. There's something about it that keeps saying to me there is a possibility we could break higher. The key moment would be if we break above the previous week's high. So in other words, this coming week, we break above last week's high would be significant. I would think we would see quite a big move to the upside. But it's not looking likely. It's just that every time I look at the charts, there is a high, there's a high probability. Look at the strong finish on dollar yen. Look, this is in addition to dollar strength. We're also seeing yen weakness. And so we finished really strong bullish candle right off these previous highs. What's good and bad about this is that it has resumed its uptrend at the earliest possible convenience after a weekly correction. So we had a weekly correction. We've immediately resumed. In isolation, this is a strong buy signal the moment we break above last week's high. It's overextended on the monthly. It does look as though it started a swing high, which means it usually would start a retracement back down. It just tapped the previous highs, didn't even correct down to a 382, and that's what's not adding up here. The weeklies in isolation look fantastic. They all look really good, as though there's going to be a continuation of dollar strength, but the monthlies look a little bit overextended and the dailies look a little bit funny. So, but at this point, I'm leaning towards dollar strength coming back on the table and the dollar continuing. and we'll have to see how that plays out. Okay, so again, here, same thing again. The market just keeps trying to go up and is constantly rejected. This is dollar Swissy, just keeps knocking it back. But here's the difference. Now that we've broken through, we've come back to test these highs, and this could be an area where we start to find more and more buyers, and then we do start to successfully start to push a little bit higher. So that is a possibility there. Dollar CAD, also a strong bullish candle here. Again, it doesn't really want to go above that 1.3 level, but at the same time, it just isn't going away. And same thing here on the monthly, you can see just rejection after a string of rejections, and yet it just keeps pushing its way up. So it feels as though there's kind of two forces at bay here. The market isn't organically working its way there. There are just unusual circumstances that are continuing to push it that way. All right, dollar ruble, let's just see what's going on there. Not a lot. It's just hovering in the same area, so no news. There, no changes. Euro Swissy is, to me, still starting to look more and more bullish, slowly but surely. I think we're going to see a much bigger correction here. That weekly is the first bullish inside candle closing near the highs, not much of a wick on top. This is an attempt for the buyers to come in to push it back up to parity, and we'll see if that's going to be the case. We need to see a follow through this week by breaking the high of last week's candle and see if we can get a continuation back up to the upside there. So there could be some potential buy opportunities there in Euro Swissy. Okay, looking at gold. So gold has returned back into the moving averages here, back into the previous level of support to test it as resistance. For me, a solid sell signal would be a break of last week's low, which is at, what's that going to be stuck at? The low at 1754.33. And a continuation to the downside. We've had multiple rejections. The closing price is rising, which means that there is pressure to the upside. And so this is actually what I'm looking for this week, is to see price just go back up above this level of resistance, or the support level, and just basically not see it as resistance. You can see we have an uptrend on the daily. I want to see price from where it is now just go back up and break and create fresh highs. That then would be an indication to me that that the monthly is playing out, that we're going to see price continue back up towards 1900. Excuse me. If we start to see a break of the low almost immediately, again in line with a stronger US dollar, we could see this we could see it continuing to head low. Again, same thing with silver. Look at this, very sort of rhythmical, pretty smooth trend. Price pulls back into the previous lows, into the moving averages, and there it is. It produces a bearish candle. So break of the low of last week indicates a continuation of the US dollar. And again, that monthly also not necessarily a strong enough rejection to indicate that there was enough push that the momentum is going to follow through to the upside. We've also got a little bit of a technical downtrend on the daily. Again, still just doesn't look super strong. So all signs technically point to a stronger US dollar this coming week. It's just so weird. I can't put my finger on it. Technically, it looks like it's a no-brainer. Trade in line with a stronger US dollar. But at the same time, there's a part of me going, look, if something happens and we manage to reverse and break the highs, I'm looking to get long. So I'll make sure that my stop losses are in place. Copper, all right, having been overextended to the downside, started its swing low, starting to push back up into these previous highs. And interesting enough, it's just a small little candle. Previously, it hasn't really gone anywhere. So interesting there. But let's see if it can manage to push up and break these previous highs and switch that daily into continuation to the upside. Natural gas as well, strong rejection of the highs back there. We've so almost like a bit of a double top. You can see this odd behavior here on the monthly. It keeps wanting to go up, keeps getting rejected, very similar to dollar Swissy. This is not normal behavior, folks. We'll find out what it is down the line, but right now I'm just saying something is up. Okay, something is up. And again, the one thing that keeps coming up is there's inflation, there's wars on, there's the dollar is in play, there's all these different things. Something at the same time is not following through. The market doesn't like it. It's almost as though it's going against the grain. But it's just that it's going against the grain. Okay, which could also mean the market just capitulates at some point and just lets it go. We've got West Texas Intermediate has had its nice little crude oil, so coming back down to $85. This is what I was looking for last week. It's just a continuation to the downside. I still think there's a possibility we might tap 85. I'm not sure this story is over yet. Coming back down to these old lows here. Should we just go immediately straight up from here and finish with a bullish week this coming week, then we're much more likely to continue back up to the highs from where we are now. That might sound obvious, but we're potentially still range bound at this time, and so what I'm looking to see is we do tap 85 or continue down. But we're in a good area, by the way, here to finish with a bullish candle and then have oil start to resume its uptrend anyway, if that's going to be the case. Brent crude as well, to me, has not had a strong enough correction to the downside. All these lows are kind of ascending lows, right? So that's that makes sense. It's in line with that. Let me just kind of put a line there so that you can sort of get the general gist of where they kind of are. Generally speaking, I'd like to see this have a deeper correction back down towards 85, down towards 80. I'd still like to see that be the case. But if there's nothing at the same time wrong, if it just manages to stay above this level, that it's likely to lead to a build-up, to a breakout, which could be sometime towards the end of the year. Okay, wait a minute, what was that? Let me just go back. I said towards the end of the year. Yeah, that would be towards the end of the year. Okay. Sugar is also here at the bottom of its range. I'm going to put a level in here because to me this looks so far as though it's going to work its way back up from here. This was a relatively strong bullish engulfing bar, a buy above. If I was a range bound trader, I'd have my entry above the high, my stop loss below the low, and target just below here, just below 1995, and target that as a buy. Let's have a look at this coffee as well. Coffee within a no clear trend. It is generally drifting lower, but it's mixing up its highs and lows. So it's sort of a range bound correction back down towards these lows. It does appear as though it is still considering the idea of coming back down and testing 200 again. You can see it's got high lows on the daily, high highs. It's in a channel, so to speak. It's not a super strong channel. At some point, I would expect it to break out to the downside. Wheat. All right, so wheat has come back down. It's staying near the lows here, but it is kind of in towards a bit of a sweet spot, previous level of support here. Let me just put that level in there. If it does find support, if break above these highs, then I would expect it to start heading back up towards these old highs. The daily has produced that bullish divergence. We've got double bottoms so far. Let's see if we can get back up to these highs at this point in time. Maybe just baby steps, see if we can just get back over 800 and see how that goes. Cotton. We do have a very choppy, messy uptrend on the daily. We've got that swing low on the weekly. We've got a rejection candle over here in the monthly. What I can say is this is very keen to work its way back up. We have to break last month's high to see some sort of shift in momentum, which means we'd have to start breaking. What is the high there? The high that is 99. We'd have to see it break above 99, which is this high here, and get back over 100 for it to be the case. So it's very choppy at the moment. There's not enough buyers. There are more buyers sitting up here. So if we can get back up there, we'll see it start to accelerate from that, if that's going to be the case. Okay, the indices, global indices. So let's have a look at this. We've got that nice uptrend. We've pulled back into the moving averages. We've got these bullish candles over here. Overall, we have got a nice correction to the upside that is more bullish than the previous legs down. We've got a nice monthly bullish inside monthly candle. We need to break the high of that. I want to see price break above the high of that. So I really want to see price follow through. And 32,887. What's the high of this one? Which is 30. Yeah. 32. Okay, so we've broken through on that. Let's see if we can continue through and get back up over this level of support and see if we can do that. If we fail to do that, so this is what I'm going to keep an eye out for in the area where we are here. If we finish up at any point in this area with a heavily bearish rejection candle, then of course then there is the implication that we could see bigger moves to the downside, or that this is a euphoric rally. Okay, right now this has all the hallmarks technically of a recovery to go back up to the highs. That's it in isolation. This is absolutely a bullish signal and looking like it wants to resume the uptrend. What I want to see now is it kind of continue to do that. So I do want to see if we can get a follow through this week and close near the highs. It would be a nice, solid, strong finish. Or if we can't get up here, if we start to fail and start to get more and more rejection showing in, even worse than we got in here, so strong rejection candles, lots of bearish, or break below these lows, or even break below these lows, then we're going to start to potentially have to question. I will have to have a look at the longer term implications of this. But so far it does look bullish. My expectation, my path out of this at this time is more to the upside than to the downside. I want to see how we handle this. We haven't got there yet, so I don't really know how price is going to react at this 4.2 level. I need to see if we get any strong rejection candles. As I said, the monthly looks very nice and healthy and strong, and so I want to see it continue. I want to see it close, a strong finish to the upside, and see how that goes. Okay, so we've got Nasdaq as well. Remember that there's a bit of a lag between the news and the markets. That we often hear in the news why the markets are doing what they're doing. So it's really more for me. I want to focus on how the markets, forward looking. I want to see the markets break to the highs, and then we'll later on hear the justification for that. So we have broken this previous downtrend, so that weekly is no longer in a downtrend, and we've got that monthly swing low. So my expectation here, based off this, is to see the Nasdaq start to continue to push its way back up to 14,000. We'll see how that goes. If we finish with a strong bearish weekly candle like this off one of these major levels, then we'll start to consider the possibility that this is a euphoric move rather than a genuine recovery to the upside. So, okay, so mini Russell as well, really nice strong finish, beautiful moves here, breaks above the high, following through, coming back into these old highs. Let's see if that's the case. It is important in my mind that we break above these previous highs committedly, but that's a nice strong finish, very little wick on top. These are great bullish finishes. Okay, so again here I'm still leaning towards this being the possible bottom of the markets as they attempt to go back up to the old highs. I just want to see if there's any it would be odd on the weekly chart to get a very strong bearish candle in these areas. It would indicate that we could see another leg down, and I want to know, so we should be able to avoid that. Let's have a look here at the FTSE as well. But FTSE is back up above the 50 moving average as well. This is more bullish than bearish. The question is, how well is it going to cope at the old highs, at the all-time highs? Will it get rejected again? But this overall, look at this, it's really, really nice. Okay, we've come back, we've tested the level, we've got a higher low, bullish candle, broken the high of that. The implication is the momentum is to the upside here. Okay, I'm going to go one more thing. I'm going to have a look at these, the DAX as well. DAX has produced a bit of a double bottom here. This has got a bit more that it has to get past on the weekly here. I've got to see you get back up to these highs and ultimately break those. I want to see this one get back over the 50 period move, and we're not there yet. Okay, so we're not there yet, so let's see how that goes, but leaning towards that going upside. I want to have a look at one more thing here. Yeah, we're not in the clear just yet. I do, again, it'll be a different scenario when we're over that 50 period moving average. We're not there yet. Same on the Dow. We're not above that 50 period moving average. That'll be that confirmation that we're definitely back into a bull trend. We're not there yet. So that's what I'm looking forward. That's what I want to see in order to see us kind of start to work our way back there. Again, here there is potentially a level of resistance. So again, let's just put a little bit of a level in there. I want to see this start to break up above that and follow through. Overall, inside bullish candle within that range. We're still within the range, so we're not really out until we're out. We're still within the range, but look at its intention working its way back up to that level. That's good. S&P ASX as well, really nice bullish swing low. It's had a beautiful correction down to the 50 period moving average. It's done that successfully in the past. That looks very keen on working its way back up. Okay, so can we work our way back up this week to 7150, 145 and see if we could do that. Okay, moving on to the equities of interest. That monthly is beautiful. So really strong bullish candles. So far we're pushing, we've broken the high. We've got to start to just test these levels of support and make sure that we don't encounter any resistance. So I expect us to see if it can continue to the upside. Tesco, also nice little swing low there. We appear to be pushing a little bit higher, wobbling a little bit. You could see that 50 period moving average price is getting rejected all the way along it. A close above that changes the game a bit. We're not there yet, but I think the market is going to attempt to work its way and keep doing that. So keep an eye on this this channel that the price action is up. If it's generally maintaining and staying above these highs and generally staying above these lows, I expect it to keep pushing higher. Amex as well. These are old levels. I need to clean this up a bit. It's getting a bit messy. Same thing again. Nice bullish channel here off these old highs. Beautiful correction. Coming down distance-wise, sort of distance towards that 50 period moving average. Same thing there, and it's managing to recover. My confidence will be increased when we break last month's high. And so far it looks as though it's trying to close above these previous lows here. So it's still within that downtrend. But I think this week there's a good probability we could see this try to move up and start to push and create new highs there. Apple immediately following through, really strong month in July and August continuing up. It would appear from all of this that the intention here is to just keep going back up to the old highs. And that's our only problem at this point in time. ARC Innovation, you can see, is attempting to do that swing low. It's not boosting as much as possible, but its target is really around the 50 to 60. So let's see if that continues to recover from that. All of that looking so far, no signs of any failure at this point. We've got AT&T at this point is bucking the trend there, just in terms of staying below all the moving averages, starting to close lower, not looking super strong. 17 is held as a level of support in the past. We'll see if it can bounce back from that. And you can see we've got a strong bullish candle here as well. So it's gonna try and turn where it is here, but it's generally weaker than overall. Pricing is Berkshire Hathaway. Beautiful July performance. I need to see us follow through. So that confirmation, it's come back down to where these previous highs are here. You can see the previous highs are potentially around that 290 level, not the 300 level. We've come back down into that. So this is a potential buy opportunity. So just quite a little interesting thing. Just put that in there. That's a beautiful indecision candle, and just mark that as a possible little move to the upside to break and a follow through. Oops, there's just no way for me to get this to just stay nice and smooth. Anyway, so looking to see if that then becomes the low, and then we continue to the upside. So usually I would be looking for a buy above the entry here, stop loss below that, and working my way into that. So let's see how that unfolds. BP as well, similar thing. You can see a really nice strong monthly level there. We've broken the high. I want to see a continuation to the upside. So right now I'm seeing this as a pullback within a move to the upside there. ExxonMobil. Okay, this is just a mess over here. We've just got kind of bearish inside candle after a really strong bullish candle. Not enough of a correction here. That's really what the issue is. That was a strong push to the upside, but we did not have, and I said this before, a correction even down to the old highs, not even down to these highs here is what I would have expected. So what I could see here is a potential sideways movement until the market ultimately does have a correction down to here and then continues up. Let's see how that goes. And it also has strong resistance at that 97 and 100 mark. So it's got a ceiling above it, and it needs a correction to the downside. So it's going to be interesting to see how it overcomes that. Okay, we've got Coca-Cola as well. Generally, it's also got its highs. It's trapped at the moment. It had a bit of a correction. We had this in June, bullish finish in July, I beg your pardon, and I'm stuttering about that. And then we've broken above that, but this is a level to struggle with. So this is going to be something that I think is going to be interesting to see. Lots of rejections here, lots of buyers below this level. Should we at some point have a heavy close to the downside, we're going to see a deeper correction. Basically, we're not seeing that yet. So that's an interesting one. Alternatively, we need to have a breakout and a close right up above that 64 level. FedEx as well, drifting up, not super well, but definitely, and again, I've marked this as a range. It's kind of ping-ponging just around this area. Again, this will start, I think, will start to pick up momentum once it gets above that 250 level. Okay, so that's really what I'm looking to see. It continues to do, pushing there a little bit higher. General Motors, big move down. It is attempting to do a bit of a swing low there. That daily looks good. That could be a potential, be interesting to see. Just going to mark this. I think it's always a good idea to see if there's ones that we can mark, just to see if they and then ultimately become significant if we do get that break of the high. That weekly is not really a strong finish here. It's actually looking as though it's considering heading lower, but there's a lot more to indicate that it has the potential to head up at least to 40 and possibly above. So let's see if it can recover from the weak finish and try again. JP Morgan Chase, that's a strong push up. Look at this, really a higher low. Bullish divergence, excuse me, trying to close up above that. Let's see if it can continue through on that weekly as well. It's desperately trying to create a swing low here and then start to head up to 120. So let's see if it can succeed in doing that. Meta as well. Remember, I spoke about this as well. I spoke about getting a breakout to the upside. We had a false breakout to the upside and a false breakout to the downside. Doesn't that tell you a lot? So actually these can just be removed because they're not significant anymore. They can be updated or whatever you want to do, but I don't think that they're super crucial at this point in time. Get rid of that and now just treat it as range bound, and that was a false breakout within range. And really you can see it's effectively, there's a level here, 153. To me, that's interesting because if we start to see price closing near these lows, we could see Meta break out to the downside and actually start to drop even further. I find that fascinating. Alternatively, a break above this high over here at break above that around about 185 could see it start to recover a little bit more, work its way back up to 200, but it's not looking super strong. Morgan Stanley, strong again, strong bullish candle. It's not an inside candle. We've broken above the high. We're basically at this point we've got to get past this little cluster of highs here, but it does look as though we're going to be able to do that. And let's see if we can get back up to 90 this coming week. Netflix starting that really nice strong swing low, but undervalued. For me, I want to see you come up to 250 anytime soon. There's a lot of attempts to move higher here, but after a big move like this, it doesn't seem to be able to follow through. So there could just be a deeper pullback here. We'll see if that's going to be the case. All right, so NVIDIA. Strong finish all the way back up, monthly looking good. Need to see this just continue up by the weekend, see how much higher it can close. So just looking for these to close high. We had PayPal. Gapped up. At some point, it might want to come down and close the gap. We'll see how that is. That monthly looking good. Just want to see a continuation again on these. Any price comes back into that 90 level, that could be represented by opportunity. We'll see. So there could be a bit of a lag between some of these. You can see a strong move to the up here, spider, big strong move back up, but now it's coming back into a level of resistance. I need to see this actually continue to the upside here. Nice strong weekly uptrend back into a level of resistance right where it is. Pretty much now it's going to have to get over the other side, but it looks good. So I'd be looking for pullbacks on the daily, is looking for buy opportunities at this time. Spotify as well, very weak. You could just, that weekly chart is not showing a lot of strength compared to the previous chart we just saw. It's a swing low. I want to see these, just see if they can push back up to these next levels here, to the top of the range here, 150, see if they can do that. And they're all kind of, maybe I should reorder them in terms of the kind of cluster of weakness that we have going on there. So Tesla, just one more thing I wanted to add into Tesla here. So that's, again, it's getting really messy. Charts should not have so much stuff on here. We should just have support, resistance levels, and candlesticks, and maybe moving averages. So the reason I bring this up is because there's a lot of fear of stagflation coming through from people I really respect, Michael Burry, Ray Dalio. There's a concern that we're not really going to see a recovery. So I kind of want to keep those opinions in mind. As a trader, you've obviously got to keep a worst case scenario. So this is what I've looked at here with Tesla. I'm saying that actually if Tesla is ultimately going to fail and we're going to see a third leg down, if that is going to be the case, if Michael Burry and Ray Dalio and others are right about this, if we're really in this, if we haven't really felt the effects of this recession right now, then I would expect us to head down from here back down towards these lows. And I'd be looking for a strong bearish failing candle here, possibly below this level here. However, I think once we start to break up above those levels, then I think that is less likely to happen and price is going to continue to the upside. So I've mapped out those two routes. Let's see which way price goes from this point. Okay. Actually, interesting enough for myself, and this is not, again, financial advice, but my idea as an investor is always buying on the market drops. So for me, I'm always seeing market lows as buying opportunities if the cash is there and lying around and isn't needed. Never really as a selling opportunity. So that's just kind of the philosophy around this, and I subscribe to that idea. Vanguard, inside bullish candle, we start to break the high, usually in isolation, especially if we can continue up and break above this one at 383. I expect to see this hit a little bit higher. It's got room. It can still continue to move a little bit higher, so let's see if that's the case. But you can see that level here that could act as potential resistance. I'll just stick that in as a temporary thing, see if we can get past that and finish above that this week. Again, I think considering all the, it just feels like a string of bad news. We're just expecting more bad news in our future. I think most people, that's the sentiment. I'm looking to see if that we buck the trend. So now this, despite the expectation of bad news, the market keeps closing higher, is in itself a strong signal. This is the kind of thing that I would expect to see of Tesla or something, or a few of the other charts, strong bearish engulfing candle where we shouldn't really get one. That's what I want to see if that's the case. This is the first chart that's produced one. I want to see if we can recover from this and have a nice bullish candle that closes, pushes to the upside. That would indicate to me the market is now really is intent on continuing. But we're now looking at T-notes. So we're going to have a look. These are Treasuries. I'm going to see if they want to continue to the downside. I feel they've produced this monthly swing low and they haven't actually gone a little bit higher. But let's see. They've continued to go. I mean, this one is technically this is a very strong sell signal. Okay, this is Eurobund, this is a sell signal if we start to see the break and continuation to the downside. Well, currently this is our open month. We've pulled back into the moving averages. We could see a follow through this week. Interesting to me. And so keeping that in mind, let's look at cryptos. So again, if equities are going to continue higher, which I think they have a greater than 50% chance of doing that based off the technicals, I would like to see Bitcoin break up above these highs. The chart that's really going to give us all the answers we're looking for, funny enough, is the weekly. The weekly chart really is going to hold that confirmation as to whether we're getting out of this thing or not, because it's slow enough that it takes us a long time to actually prove what we're trying to say, but it's not so slow that we don't really know what's going on, that it produces false signals. So here I'd like to see this push up. Really want to see if we can get above and close a strong finish above these highs. Here would be, to me, a very good signal. That would confirm a swing low here, and that would see that we'd start to head up towards 30,000 if that is the case. Should we fail in these attempts, if I describe this is what I'm looking for the market to do and it goes the other way, that signals the second most likely outcome, which is the market is not looking as strong. But we've had so far a really good recovery. The pessimists will tend, I shouldn't say pessimist, one set of opinions is that this is a euphoric bounce, that it's not a genuine reflection of a recovery in the markets. And that is valid. The only way we'll know is on that weekly chart if we continue to push up a little bit higher. We just have to get over that 50-period moving average. We'll know for sure. But any strong, really strong bearish signals out of that, possibly following a week of some kind of bad news, would be in itself important, I think, to pay attention to. We've got this strong uptrend here on Ethereum as well. I expect this to break a little bit higher. I want to see, again, that swing low there broken to know that we're now at the bottom of this whole thing. Let's look at Cardano's got a little flat level here. We should be breaking to the upside. Again, if the markets do that, we expect it. But look at this, really nice Binance move to the upside. It's coming into these old highs. So I do expect a bit of a reaction to the downside, a bit of a move when it comes into these old highs. It's a bit overextended, hasn't been here for a while. Pullback and then possibly a finish high. Let's see if that's the case by the next week from now. And again, there's a little bit of a flat level. This could be a possible breakout opportunities. Let's put that in there. Could we have a breakout opportunity here with Solana? If we continue up, we've got a level of support, nice little bullish candle. We could move up, maybe possibly break it up, but it's not looking strong here. But keep this in mind, is that big moves often occur after a series of small candles. So again, that could also possibly be the case. So this week, I mean, that tells me, yep, there is the possibility for us to finish lower this week. It'll be interesting to see what information could potentially cause that, but currently the trends are indicating which way they want to go. The question is, will something come up that throws a spanner in the works? And we're just going to have to see how that goes. Trading responsibly and keeping all these potential outcomes in mind. Thank you guys. I hope you're enjoying these videos, and I look forward to chatting to you in future videos.